Very exciting day today. Some of you regular viewers or longtime viewers may remember that about a year ago we were trying to get this 235 unseized. We pulled the head off, we pulled the lifters out and soaked it with all kinds of crazy things, and it's still stuck. None of this is looking very good up here. I don't think these are supposed to get stuck, are they? What in tarnation? There we go. Holy. Yikes. Oh dear. It's like this engine was rusting from the bottom up. None of this is giving me any hope whatsoever. Ominous foreshadowing of things to come, I think. Well, our team of scientists are very pleased to present you with this Chevy coil bracket strength test. Years of careful scientific research and planning have gone into this test to make sure that it is 100% accurate with no room for error. Oh dear. That is definitely a seized engine. Oh, let's have a first impression here. This actually isn't as bad as I was expecting. I guess the next step would be to get this all vacuumed out and see what we've actually got to work with, but this doesn't look completely hopeless. I mean, it's not good by any means, but we weren't expecting good. There is quite a bit of surface rust there. Okay. Yeah, it's a little crusty. Let's have a look at the head as well. So the head didn't quite fare all that well. Valves are very, very crusty. So that's not looking very good at all. Oh, I don't know. I gotta say, I was expecting a lot worse. This is probably the worst cylinder here, and even that, as far as catastrophic damage goes, really isn't all that bad. Light surface rust in all of them, but this almost looks like it's not like a total lost cause like I was expecting. I was expecting this to just be like absolutely ruined, but this could actually have some potential here. Well, I took a closer look at this head and figured out the reason why this thing was parked, or at least one of the reasons why it was parked. We've got 2 burned exhaust valves. So that kind of leaves this project dead in the water for the time being. It's not looking too good. This was one of the better ones, and I cleaned it up a little bit, but there's just no way that's going to seal. Let's see what's behind door number 2. Uh-oh. Okay, that's all very bad. I don't think it's good when the side cover of your engine rusts out, but yeah, okay. I think we might be wasting our time here. That's not good. I'm assuming the cam and everything else is going to be just absolutely trashed. I guess if anyone has any tips on removing extremely seized, stuck lifters, let me know. I soaked them down with penetrant, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. Those are stuck in there real good. So I thought we were dead in the water here, but as you can see, we're actually making some progress here. I don't know why I'm still wasting time on this, but I just couldn't give up on it that easily. So what I did to get them out is I started out with a 5/8 inch wrench, and I just kind of put it like that, and then I wedged a nut in between here and here as kind of a fulcrum, and then I hit on the end of the wrench, and that kind of popped them up the first 1/8 inch. And then I kind of turned the nut sideways and kept working it up and working it up. The back ones were giving me real grief, and it became apparent fairly quick that this was going to take like 4 or 5 weeks doing it this way. So I ended up coming up with this contraption here on my slide hammer, which all it is a an old pry bar, I think for removing nails, that I found on the side of the road when I was in grade 10, and I ended up just notching it out more to fit around the lifter, and then just welded it onto the end of my slide hammer here. So and then just beat the absolute snot out of it, and well, we're still hopelessly seized, but been soaking these cylinders now for about 36 hours. Just been sitting here soaking with the ATF and acetone and whatever else I dumped into it. And a few of you were kind of asking about what's been happening with this. So I thought I'm getting tired of tripping over it. It's just sitting here. So we gotta do something with it. So I'm gonna pull the oil pan off, and we're gonna do a ground reveal of the bottom end and see what's going on there, and see if we can figure out why it's still stuck. So safe. Oh, there's the good news. But I don't think we have a usable engine here. It's needs a bit more than what I'm willing to put into it. I'm not saying it couldn't be saved, but we can definitely see now why this thing wasn't going to turn over. The last three are totally out to lunch. Possibly the first three, could be brought back, but doesn't really matter. Anyways, there's your stovebolt update. Well, I guess this is what my life has become. Entirely know what we're doing here, but we're gonna do it. I don't know anything about engines. Well, if you've been watching the channel for any amount of time, you probably knew this was gonna happen sooner or later. Here we go. Oh, it's not even flammable. Disappointing. You ever seen any of those fake restoration videos that get like 20 million views? And it's like they start with a nice running and driving car, and then they film that as the after, and then they set fire to it and jump on it and just completely destroy it, and then they film that as the before, and then they kind of go through the whole thing. They tear the whole thing down to nothing, and they're working on in like in a field somewhere, or in their backyard, or in an alley or something, and they're working on the floor. It's kind of what this reminds me of. It's working on our floor here, but I just think it's funny to read the comments on those. Everybody thinks it's amazing. Oh, you did a great job and everything, and meanwhile they're like, they just paint the whole engine, they like everything, all the inside and everything, and then they put it together with no rod bearings or no piston rings and all that, and and then magically it's suddenly a running and driving vehicle again. Everybody thinks it's amazing. That's definitely going about this whole thing all wrong. Supposedly they're in like some impoverished country or something, but they can afford to destroy a Mercedes or really any running and driving car just to get YouTube views and waste a bunch of materials and paint on it. I don't know. Seems a little off to me, but what do I know? This course all reminds me of a time when I was a young lad growing up in the big city, and my neighbor had given me a couple old lawnmower engines to tear apart and put back together to kind of learn how engines work. So I dove into these, and I tore them both completely apart, and then I put them all back together, and I was just ever so pleased with myself. And then my dad got home from work, and he was observing what I had done, and he picked up the broken bits of piston ring off the floor, and he said, these engines aren't going to run without these. And that's how I learned the importance of piston rings. And apparently, I guess you have to put all the pieces of an engine back together if you ever want it to work again. So another valuable life lesson there. Anyways, what's happening here is my steering wheel puller didn't have enough juice to pull the timing gear off of the crank. So I decided to remove the main bearings and then pry the crank away. And then hopefully I could get the cam to turn, because I need to get the cam to turn to get the retaining screws out. So that's what we're fighting with right now. And of course everything is seized as it should be. So but what do you expect, I guess? If you know anything at all about engines, then you probably shouldn't be watching this, because if it's not apparent already, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. And so don't take this as a tutorial on how to do things. This is a good how not to do things, but you know, whatever. I figured there's nothing to lose on this old thing. Not a single thing is going to cooperate, is it? I just don't care anymore. This is not a good thing. What are you doing? Why? Why? Garbage. Like if you play a stupid game, you win a stupid prize. Who would have thought? There's a total success story, eh? You find. Well, this just doesn't seem like a very good plan at all. Why is that, Kyle? Oh, I don't know, because you're an idiot. It's almost as if the stern is heavier than the bow. Oh, yeah. Yeah. All we can do is proceed. Falls and falls. Epic content though, isn't it? This is what you came to see. Well, that could have ended very, very badly. I don't even know what to say about that. Not our finest hour here. I don't want to do this. Normally not a very confrontational guy. I don't like drama, but sure makes for good TV. Oh, geez, not this idiot again. Speak! Hello, Kyle. How are you doing today? I'd be a lot better if I wasn't talking to you. Got a little problem here with that seized engine you gave me for free last year. You mean the one I told you was complete garbage and you shouldn't waste your time with? I'm
I'm having a really hard time taking it apart. It's just, it's not going very well. I'm not happy with it.
Gave you that engine for free, but I mean, whatever. It's no point in getting upset about it. I'll just come grab it later and take it back, I guess.
Yeah, what are you going to do about all this fraudulent paperwork you included with it? It's completely misrepresented.
That's a receipt for chicken fingers from 2 years ago.
How do you know?
I'm standing right in front of your car. Like I can see you in there.
Hey, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm kind of a big deal on YouTube, and wondering if you could maybe just play along here, you know, ham it up a little bit for the camera. Trying to make a good video here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
Please?
No.
Stop arguing with me! You're blowing this way out of proportion and being very aggressive towards me. I feel threatened right now. You know what? I'm gonna keep it. I'll show you. I'm gonna make you look so bad to all my 3 followers.
Hung up on me.
Can't believe this. It's not right. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?
Warning! The previous skit was entirely fictional. Any similarities between real-life people or events is coincidental and not intended. The opinions and behavior of the actors do not represent the views of Carter Auto Restyling. That being said, let us know in the comments which Kyle do you think was in the right.
I'm gonna drive this one out through the bottom this way, so we don't do any more damage than what we absolutely have to. Sure. Everything is a struggle when you're stupid. I can tell you that right now. Remember now, lift with your back. Fight me every step of the way, why don't you? Holy. Wow. Well, that was a total success. I know to most people this looks like a chaotic nightmare failure, but my idea of success is most people's idea of failure. So, as Vlad says, 107% success. The main goal here was to save the block, and I actually think we did that. Obviously, it needs to be machined. There's just no way around that. But I mean, there's not. I I thought for sure I was gonna just put like a huge gouge or something into here, but yeah, we didn't really do any damage that wasn't already there, so I'm quite pleased with myself on that. Normally I get to the end and I get really close to getting something and then I wreck it, but this cylinder is probably the worst. You probably can't see. I did clean them up a little bit, but there is some pitting. So, and you know, this one I haven't really cleaned, but you can kind of get an idea of just how crunchy it is. None of the pitting is very deep, but I mean, again, obviously it would need to get, you know, a little machine work done, to say the least. But yeah, save that. I don't know if the crank is worth saving or not. I'm gonna keep it. I mean, I guess it could be, unless we ruined it with our kind of hilariously bad crank removal thing we did there. But yeah, I don't know. We'll keep it around just because that might need to be resurfaced. That's probably fine. Clutch is good though, so huge bonus there. Just for the record, that fan blade was already cracked and it did have a bend in it before we bent it more, so I'm not too upset about that. Also got a bell housing. I don't know if those are worth anything, but you can't buy them, so might as well keep it. Cam, garbage. Just, yeah. There's no point in trying to save any of that. I was hoping somebody's obviously changed the cam gear, but unfortunately I wrecked that. I don't know. Like, everything was seized on this. Cam was seized, the crank was seized, all the wrist pins are all seized, all the rings are seized, obviously the pistons were seized, just everything's just one seized blob. And it didn't look all that bad from the top, but as we got into it, this thing was not going anywhere. And I think even if we had somehow managed to force it loose, we would have done more damage by trying to get it running than anything else. So, like, if we look at all the junk in there, this one, like, this is just packed full of rust. So, like, we would have, like I said, if somehow I had managed to just like force this thing to move, like, and he-manned it and then tried to get it running, even if it may have ran, but like it would have just destroyed whatever was actually still savable. So I think we made the right choice to tear this thing down and just save what we could. I was hoping to save the pistons again, but now that I look at them, like, there's just no way. Like, this is one of the good ones here. See just how crusty that is. I'm not sure you engine people can let me know. There's just a 4 stamped in the top of these, so I don't know if that means it's 40 over or what the significance of that is. But if you engine people want to know, that it's stamped in all the pistons, but it's just a 4. There's no 04 or like 40 or whatever that I would expect that you would normally see. But again, I'm not an engine guy, so anybody wants to let me know, I'd appreciate that. What's going on with that? But again, just like we would have just destroyed whatever was left of that block by trying to get these to do things. So we're able to save this piston at least. But and just another look here at just how corroded this thing got. You can deal with this one. Like, we were just We were hammering and hammering and hammering on this. You can see where it's split there, and this one was stuck right at the bottom, so we ended up having to just chisel off the protrusion there, and that seemed to release enough of it in between all the heat cycles and everything else we tried. This one, I think I got the idea from Mart's garage with his crusty flathead that he revived. He drove out the top of the piston from the bottom, and it kind of relieves the pressure on it. And I still ended up having to chisel away carefully the top of it, and then I got, because the top ring was stuck, like seized right to the thing as well, so I had to actually chisel away the top of it and then get that other ring out. And then finally, once I got that top ring out and broke out the top, then it finally drove out. So that was a battle for sure. So what's the plans for all this? Actually nothing. I just had a personal vendetta against this engine, because when I first acquired it last year, or over a year ago now, I wasted probably a good 3-4 days trying to get it broke loose. And then we did a video on that, and then we set it aside, and it's been sitting here for over a year now, soaking and soaking. I tried every different type of, home remedy and all this stuff that people say to do. Nothing was gonna free that thing up. The only thing I didn't try was muriatic acid. I've heard of people doing that, but I don't know. I don't like using that unless it's a last resort. That stuff's pretty harsh. And when Mr. Safety Shoes and Mushroom Chisel and says something's harsh, it's pretty harsh. Anyways, yeah, we got off track again. So yeah, this thing was sitting here, and I was just tripping over it all the time. I was paranoid I was going to fall over into the car or something like that. So this weekend I was all ready to just load it up and scrap it, be done with it. Like, what are we doing with this thing? And then I couldn't just throw in the towel. So then we're like, well, let's at least pull the oil pan off and see how the bottom end looks. And then we pulled the oil pan off, and the bottom end was ruined, and we just couldn't stop there. So we just kept going and going. And now we're another 2.5 days into this by the time I clean up this mess. And I mean, it's not going to scrap, at least. So I mean, they're not making this stuff anymore. It is kind of a common engine, but whatever. I think the block is savable, so if I ever need a block, now I've got one. And I do have another 235 with the more desirable 848 head, and it's not a seized boat anchor, so I probably just, if I was going to rebuild one of these engines, I'd rebuild that one. But just in case, I've got a block. This head is the earlier style head, so it's not really that desirable, and it needs full valves and everything else. Seized junk, but I'm not going to throw it away, but it's probably not worth rebuilding. But anyways, we got this stuff here. If I ever become, independently wealthy, we'll buy a rebuild kit for it and rebuild the whole thing for something to do. But that's, probably not something that we're going to get to right away, unless we win the lottery. And if I win the lottery, I'll probably not waste any time with this junk. So that's that. I'm going to oil this thing up, and I'm going to move it into the house. I did have this grand scheme that if I broke it all down, I was going to be able to carry it down to the basement. But I'd probably be able to do that, but it'd be the last thing I ever carried. So we're going to try to just leave it in the living room or something. We'll oil it up. We'll put the crank in with the bearings or whatever. So seal it up, and it'll be safe in there for, I guess until my estate, and then some poor sap is going to have to move the thing out. But that's a problem for somebody else.
So it was around this time that I began to regret skipping leg day for the past 30 some odd years.
Hey, thanks for watching, whatever that was. If you made it to the end, I sure do appreciate you. And if you didn't, I totally understand. Anyways, we'll see you again soon. Maybe. Can I have my shoes back? Hey?